Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to Pennsylvania. If you haven't been able to tell right now, we're working in reverse alphabetical order. So it's not like, hey, we're doing the massive contenders and then we're working our way down to the bottom. We are equal opportunity by every stretch. So the Pittsburgh Pirates, as it stands right now, the estimated tax payroll for them is $87.5 million. The competitive balance tax threshold is 237. We're not judging the Pirates based on the CBT. We are judging them based on last year's payroll. Ben Cherington has said they plan to escalate that payroll, not significantly like Mike Elias, but they do want to come in at a higher number than where they were at last year. Last year was 90.6. They are at an estimated 87.5 right now. They lost Miguel Andujar, who spent the majority of the year in AAA, Osvaldo Bido, who spent the majority of the year in AAA, Cody Bolton, who was a tweener, Yerry De Los Santos, who was disappointing at the big league level, Angel Perdomo, who flashed some spurts, Harleen Garcia, Chris Owings, who was in AAA the entirety pretty much, Caleb Smith, Vince Velasquez. Like there is nothing lost when it comes to consistent big league pieces. The move so far, they have acquired Marco Gonzalez from Atlanta for cash considerations after that weird Kelnick deal. They signed Rowdy Tellez to a 1-year, $3.2 million deal. They acquired Billy McKinney for international bonus pool money. They signed Martin Perez for 1 year, $8 million. They re-signed Andrew McCutchen, thank God, for 1 year and $5 million. They acquired Edward Olivares from Kansas City for a low A guy, Davies Nadal, and I think that's a sneaky, solid pickup for them. Olivares can swing it a bit. And then they signed Ben Heller, Ali Sanchez, Gilberto Celestino to minor league free agent deals. Those are not sexy at all. But I'm going to run through the lineup right now, and you're going to tell me where they need to improve and where they're going to improve.
Mm-hmm.
The big one that hurts is the one right away. Endy Rodriguez on a swing, I think, tore his UCL. He had Tommy John surgery after a swing in the Dominican Winter League. It was also flexor tendon repair. There was a weird throw. He was trying to catch a would-be base stealer in May, and he just spiked the shit out of one, and he missed about a week. And nothing came of that. He was good the rest of the year. That was pre-MLB debut. But I wonder if there was some damage, and then that swing just kind of did it in. I love Endy as a guy. I think Endy's an awesome player, and we are rooting for a very, very quick return. Unfortunately, the soonest we can hope for is like very, very end of this year, but they already said he's going to miss the entirety of the 2024 season, so we hope it's 2025. The catching tandem right now is Henry Davis and Jason DeLay, maybe Ali Sanchez if you want. Henry Davis is going to catch Arm. He was a right fielder. He hasn't caught a professional game, or he hasn't caught a Major League Baseball game, if I'm not mistaken. But Cherington said right away that they plan for Davis to enter camp next year as a catcher. That was pre-Endy injury. Do you think he can make that transition back?
I do. I think he can be fine. I don't think he'll grade out fantastically, but I think he'll be fine enough. And I think it's probably good for his development, right? Because the further he gets away from the catching situation, it's just something that he can't, revert back to as much. And I think this is going to be good for his overall abilities there. I think he'll be able to hold it down better than any other option they would have, tried to shoehorn kind of in there.
Yeah. Peter, you think Henry Davis, you think that trip to Driveline that he's made for swing optimization, that's going to help him big time?
I mean, I still believe in the bat. Like, he's got some donkey pop in there. Yeah, I mean, if he is a below average defensive catcher and a slightly above average offensive catcher next year, I think you're chilling, right? Like,
Cool.
there's nothing we can do here. We and Pirates fans included, just have to hope that he looks like the number one overall pick that they drafted him out of Louisville, right? It's kind of like when we were talking about the Giants with Marco Luciano, right? You just got to let him go. See what we got here. I think that's exactly what they have to do with Henry Davis. I'm rooting for him because he is fun when his forearms are enormous. He's fun to watch. I hope he hits some bombs. He's fun.
Yeah, and the no batting gloves crowd just
Yeah.
loves him. We've added one to the fraternity.
He
First
looks kind
base,
of like Luke Voigt a little bit. He gives off that vibe to me.
a little bit. First base, Rowdy Tellez, Connor Joe as the platoon. I'm cool with that in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
God, whatever, Peter.
No.
I
I
mean,
mean,
they
they
got
just signed
Rowdy.
Rowdy. Like they fixed first base pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no,
was
that's
their
good.
fix.
Let's do it.
Second base, Leover Piguero, Nick Gonzalez, G1 Bay. That's good depth. I don't think you do anything with that because they're all pre-arb. Third base, Ke'Bryan Hayes and Jared Triolo. Shortstop, O'Neal Cruz, G1 Bay, Alika Williams. Like, stop me again if you feel like there's an upgrade sitting here. It's like, oh, they need to upgrade that position. Left field, Brian Reynolds. Center field, Jack Sawinski. Right field, Josh Palacios. I think that's probably where you can look. Andrew McCutchen slots in as the DH, surely. Then the fourth outfield options are Edward Olivares, Kanan Smith and Jigba, Gilberto Celestino, Connor Joe, G1 Bay, Billy McKinney. Are we adding something to this offense?
So the reason I kind of gave that feeling is I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, yes, you have starting players there. You have starting caliber MLB proven guys there, at least at some positions, right? So no, should we go add like a Travis Jankowski in this outfield? Probably not. Like, should we go add a first baseman? Probably not. Should we go add like a second baseman? Probably not. So that's why I'm getting frustrated is that they have now built a roster where you can't really add any more big time pieces. And general manager Ben Cherington could go to his fans and be like, look at all the big leaguers we have. It's infuriating because I think the Pirates deserve more, but they're not getting more. And I know their fans are definitely probably upset. Definitely probably in the same sentence.
I
Definitely,
think you got to
probably.
just look at upside guys, right? And either upside or flippable pieces. I think they've got their flippable pieces. Can I just give you one interesting name?
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis,
Mhm.
elected
Yeah.
free agency. Injuries have derailed him. Obviously, he was the rookie of the year in the shortened season. Can get an opportunity here. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Palacios, I think you can have a little platoon here. Lewis needs to kind of ease into it. He's struggled to stay healthy anyways. Palacios showed some flashes. Go get Kyle Lewis, have a little platoon in the corner. Even if Lewis isn't playing great, he's going to help Palacios, I think, in some ways too, just to kind of spell those left on left matchups. And I think that might be the bounce back upside kind of move to make as you're kind of in the final year of rebuild mode before I think finally starting to really spend next year, really spend relatively speaking.
Love that idea, Aram. Another idea for you. What about bringing Austin Meadows back? If he can stay healthy, right? Maybe he's a guy at the deadline that a contender says, oh, Austin Meadows is kind of looking like the guy a couple of years ago that was an above average outfielder. We want him now. And the Pirates say, sure, we'll trade him for the second time.
Well,
But I like Kyle Lewis too. I think both of these guys are good options.
Similar to that thought, but more expensive. Joey Gallo was the one that came to my mind, but you might be priced out of
There's no
there.
fucking way Joey Gallo's going to Pittsburgh.
yeah, I like the Meadows thought for a couple of reasons. One, he's dealt with mental health issues and challenges, and I think that's something that we've seen kind of well documented at this point. And if he does want to play, like this is where he was comfortable at one point, and this is where he had some good stretches. So that could be a spot where it kind of works out for him. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. You give him a shot. But I think it's got to be something along those lines of like, see what you got, and if it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul.
No, Jack, the reason why I said no to Joey Gallo is one contender out there is gonna like see
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff that almost
Someone's gonna do
every
it.
contender has and just be like, we got to try it at least, right? So
Someone's
that's
gonna
why I feel it's just like no way he goes to Pittsburgh. It's gonna be a playoff team. Like maybe we can get a little Joey Gallo in there, and then they're gonna see what happens. So again, final vote to you: Austin Meadows, Kyle Lewis. Who should we go with?
I like Kyle Lewis a little bit more. I like that ad because
I'm all for two. I'm all
frankly,
for two.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now, can I pitch you a trade that would negate both those?
Sure.
I think they have an infield surplus. And I'm going to pitch you an intra-divisional trade
Oh,
that may make some sense. Who has an outfield surplus in the National League Central that we've been
the
talking about
Brewers,
consistently? What do they need?
a lot, a
Yeah,
little
I was about
pitching.
to say they got to need a lot.
It depends
They
on
need
what they're going
sec.
to do with Adamas.
I think they need second base and third base right now. Terang and Monasterio are the opening day second baseman and third baseman.
Those are like kind of their guys. Aren't they just going to
Yeah, I
run with
feel like you
them?
got to ride with those guys.
Yeah.
Monasterio, are you rolling with Monasterio?
I'm not saying I'm obsessed with him, but they got to run with him. Like he's their guy, and he wasn't bad last year for him.
if Nick Gonzalez or Jared Triolo became available, I really like both those guys.
Ooh,
If Nick Gonzalez or Jared Triolo became available and Charrington came to Matt Arnold and said, hey, pick which one you like more. Let's talk about a deal surrounding Garrett Mitchell.
Nick
Who hangs
Gonzalez
up?
for Garrett Mitchell is a fun trade, actually.
Say it
Yeah.
again, Arm.
My thought was Gonzalez for Garrett Mitchell.
That is a fun trade.
Because
I
Gonzalez
think
can play some third base too.
I do kind of like that.
We
That is
could
the
just,
most.
yeah.
It's more unique than just like give Kyle Lewis a chance. So,
Yeah.
and it's not one of those deals that you don't do in division because like it's unlikely that it haunts you, right? Like I don't think. I think both those guys can succeed and be solid players, but yeah, I don't think that they're going to be so good that it haunts you. I love Nicky G. I actually think the power would play better in Milwaukee. That's not a bad move. I
I
think that could be fun.
I know that this is the Pirates episode and not the Brewers, so we don't really have to worry what the Brewers would do. But then, what do they do with Bryce Terang? Is he just
I
done?
mean, if they traded Damas, he's a
He could play
he's a
short.
glove first guy. He plugs in at short. And now he's kind of just this utility guy until he figures it out offensively. I like Terang. I thought he'd be a lot better last year. I was very disappointed with the offensive output. He's a great defender. He can really run. Uh, and so you still kind of have a spot for him one way or another.
I say we do the trade. That's the most fun thing.
I like
we
that
can do.
trade. Yeah, I'm in.
Okay. Nick Gonzalez for Garrett Mitchell straight up. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody needs to add anything else.
No.
I think we're good. Starting pitching, Mitch Keller, Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez, Luis Ortiz, Roansy Contreras, Quinn Priester. Those are like the opening day six. You got Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, and Jackson Wolf waiting in the on-deck circle. And then Mike Burrows and JT Brubaker should be off the shelf from TJ around the All-Star break. At the All-Star break, we could be looking at a starting rotation. If they flip Perez and Gonzalez, we could be looking at a starting rotation of Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Quinn Priester, Mike Burrows. That's fun.
I agree. No, it's like when they signed these Martin Perez's and Marco Gonzalez's on the surface, it's like Pirates. This is almost like disrespectful to the fans by signing
The
these guys.
flip
But really,
candidates.
all they are is placeholders to get them through the first half of the season, to get these young guys ready to perform. And these young guys, they all have a little bit of upside to them, and especially Paul Skeens. I mean, Paul Skeens just comes in and looks like Mitch Keller. You have a dominant front two because Mitch Keller is objectively a stud. But it is just funny us sitting here today looking at this rotation. Like if they didn't have the contingency plans, how embarrassing Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez, Luis Ortiz, and Bailey Falter is.
Oh, it could be real bad. But no, I think it's a perfect spot, right? Because you can flip those guys very easily if Perez or Gonzalez pitched the way that they have within the last couple of years, and then yeah, you kind of wait for that while those other guys are coming up. I also think Max Kranick, like he's a good depth arm. Yep. Don't sleep on him. Coming back from TJ as well. Like did you mention him, Jack, as well in the TJ?
No, I didn't. Slip my mind.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't want to do that thing where like you said something and I like bring it up again like it wasn't mentioned.
No, you're good.
Kranick, he looked good. His fastball started to tick up. I think that was part of the reason why he went down. Is sometimes those guys that see that big jump in velo, the elbow kind of gives way. He's going to come back. He flirted with a no hitter at one point in the big leagues. Like he could be a solid 5 starter as well. So to that point, like they've got a lot of different options that I'd love to just at least see what they can do. So
Yeah.
I'd roll as is and then trade a couple of those guys. Like Marco's a reclamation project if he's healthy. If the nerve issue is still a problem, then I think they'll phase him out pretty quickly. And Perez, if he looks like 2022 Perez, I'll get some nice pieces back for him.
100%. Bullpen, I don't think you need to do anything. Bednar is the closer, one of the best closers in baseball. Holderman, Majinski is gross. If you haven't seen that Carmen Majinski sweeper, that's disgusting. They just signed Ryan Borucki, who had a solid back half of the year. Dowry Moretta with that backwards slider. Kyle Nicholas is up to 98, 99. Shit, man. Colin Selby up to 98, 99. And then Andre Jackson redemption chore from the Dodgers is very fun as well. So I think we just kind of fixed the Pirates, right? Nick Gonzalez for Garrett Mitchell. Both
That's
guys,
all it took.
good young talent, and that's that.
I have just one question to wrap up on the Pirates. Roansy Contreras. That's my question.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I was going to
that is
ask,
a
what do they
great
do with
question.
him? And then, but really, what is Roansy Contreras?
Jack, you saw it more than me.
Yeah, Jack, you have to answer.
Yeah, I mean, he went from sitting 95, 96 in 22 to sitting 92 to 93
Mhm.
in 2023.
Lower than that in
And
some starts I was watching. It was like
yeah,
90
like,
to
and the
92.
fastball got pillaged.
Yeah, holy crap. Yeah,
Yeah.
last 15
Fastball
starts of
got
the
murdered.
only a swinging strike rate of 7.7% on the fastball is pretty brutal. Slider's still
Yeah.
great. So I do wonder, like, if he ends up kind of transitioning into a reliever role too, they'll probably give him a little bit more run at starting pitcher, see how it goes. But it's another reason why I think you do nothing here. And I think that the larger point is that Charrington's kind of got this taken care of. I think he's kind of got them well positioned for this year. One more year of this, rebuild, I think, and then I think they're going to look to compete in that division coming
It's
into
exciting,
into
man.
next year, and they're going to get a lot of answers in the starting pitching side of things and relief side of things with some of their youngins that are finally ready.
I think you can get questions answered every night this coming year for the
Mhm.
Pirates, which is a fun spot to be for a rebuilding team and a young team. So, and you add Andy to fold in 2025, it's going to be